a real artist come with a concept in mind, and they want the tool. They want to use whatever tool that help them achieve implementation of that concept. So if they can try this prompt-based system, they can get something out of it. But most of the time, what they're getting is not what matches their concept, and that's why it's not fitting in the workflow. Some other will start with a concept, try these tools, generate something nice, they divert from their concept, end up with whatever AI is generating. But I don't call these a real artist. Real artists stick to whatever concept they're trying to make and use whatever tools to implement that.
In today's digital landscape, the confluence of art and technology is more apparent than ever. From graphic design to virtual reality, artists are now leveraging technology to push the boundaries of creativity. And one of the most intriguing developments on this front is the emergence of generative AI in art making. Now, to explore this captivating realm, today I welcome back Ahmed Elgammal, the founder of Playform and creator of AICAN. He was last on the show 3 years ago. We were talking about all this stuff 3 years ago before Gen AI went mainstream, and his team recently conducted a comprehensive survey involving 500 professional artists to try and unearth how AI is influencing their creative processes. It was that survey that set off my tech spidey sensors and made me invite him back onto the podcast. So he's going to share his invaluable insights once again into how AI aids in idea generation, visual asset creation, and even the refining of final digital works. So much to get through. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to New Jersey, where he's waiting to join us once again. So a massive warm welcome back to the show. It was, nearly 3 years since we last spoke. So can you remind everyone listening with a little about who you are and what you do?
Hi, thank you for inviting me to the podcast again. I love to be here. My name is Ahmed Elgammal. I'm professor at Rutgers University in New Jersey, director of the Art and AI lab at Rutgers, which is a lab I established to focus on how to advance AI by looking at human creativity in art history, in music, in different kind of arts. And also I am the founder of Playform AI, which is a platform for artists to explore using AI in their process. This is a platform that has been around for 4 years now, ahead of everybody else. And that gave me lots of experience. So I can talk about this topic from academic point of view, from entrepreneurial point of view, from the interacting with artists all the time, and being artist myself. I have several exhibition shows in the past.
Well, I think the last time we spoke 3 years ago, we were talking about Playform and how it's offering this opportunity for artists and creators to explore the edge of technological possibility and express their humanity at the same time by harnessing AI's power and turn it into a perfect co-creating companion. And all that was happening 3 years ago before anybody in the world knew about Gen AI and would collectively lose their shit as they have done this year. But one of the things that put you back on my radar this year was you've conducted a survey with professional artists that revealed how AI is impacting their artistic process. And by that, I mean from idea generation to their final work. And that survey showed that most artists use AI during the middle of their creative process. So I'm curious, how do you envision the optimal collaborative balance between human artists and AI, especially in terms of originality and creative input? Because it's a huge talking point this year, isn't it?
Definitely. Through the years where I have been working with artists and seeing how they use AI in the process, first thing is that obviously this is something that's changing all the time, because the kind of AI tools available keep evolving very, very fast. Like 3 years ago, the kind of AI tools that we have been using was very different from what it is now. Nowadays, the Gen AI is dominated by this prompt-based generation. You write a prompt and generate based on that. And many people came to the generative AI at that time thinking that generative AI is all about prompting. And that's not true. Generative AI has been around before prompting and will be evolving beyond prompting soon. So we're just in a phase basically now with prompting. So just to keep that clear. The way artists use AI in their process varies a lot. From ideation phase, some artists just use AI to explore new ideas, new surprises, new interesting directions. Some of them use AI to create actual assets, visual assets that they use in other projects, like in a visual reality settings or augmented reality, or a video game they're creating, or other things. Some artists use AI to create final digital works. They spend hours and hours trying to refine it and generate a digital work. And some artists actually use AI to generate a digital work that convert into a physical work and work on top of it. So I have seen all ways artists generate videos, artists try to generate 3D animations. And so basically artists to work with concepts and usually you want to do things that has layers and layers of technology, and they use various tools in this process, including AI-powered tools. However, when we surveyed artists, even before the latest survey, we have another survey with Playform users a few years ago, we found something very interesting. So whether you are a painter or doing sculpture or doing illustration or doing any kind of creative art, we find that there are two common values that AI gives to artists, or artists look for when we're using AI. These two are basically, number one is creative inspiration, the fact that AI can inspire them in new ways, in new directions, in give them surprises and give them interesting results. Second is creative volume, the fact that AI can be used to create lots and lots of images or images for them, which they can then use in other things. So it really can work with them as a kind of a workshop assistant for them to create lots and lots of images for them to be used. These are two real values in how art, what artists are looking for when using AI.
And I was also reading in the survey that more than 45% of artists found text-to-image tools incredibly useful, and I've had a little play with it myself and had mixed results. And some people expressed concerns about identity and originality, and again, huge topic this year. So can you elaborate on how AI is reshaping the very notion of an artist in this age?
Definitely. There are two parts of this question. It's about identity and originality, and then there's a part of text prompting in general, which I'd like to talk about more about what artists think about that. So talking about identity, because it's fundamental, art is about identity. I mean, if you are an artist, the number one thing that you're thinking about all the time is how to make your identity shine as an artist above everybody else. That's really the artistic style of you, the medium you are using, the whatever you are using to make yourself distinct from everybody else. That's what artists do. Otherwise, I mean, going to be one of millions of other creators who might not shine. And artist identity is really crucial in identifying any new art making medium as actually fine art or art. For example, I want to come here to a case from photography from 19th century. So photography, when it was invented in 19th century, people didn't look at it as art or fine art genre at all. So there was a similar debate at that time until 1860, 61, 62 in France, where there was a court case about copyright, where basically two famous photographers at the time, their name are Mayer and Dyson, have a photography being copied by other photographer, basically, and they sue them for copyright protection. And it went to the court, and the fundamental thing in that case was whether it's copyrightable or not, was whether the artist identity can be can appear through the medium, can appear in photography. Can you say that this is your photography as an artist and it's unique to you? If I use a similar camera, make a similar shot, how that's different? So that's really fundamental. I mean, at the end, photography was recognized as a fine art because and copyrightable because of that case. Because basically, they could show that there is some unique identity in the photography they are making. So now going forward more than 150 years in future to today, where we face AI as a generator for making art, how artist identity work here. So in all these big models, like prompt-based model, for example, that are trained on billions and billions of images, what is the role of artist? As an artist, your role is write a prompt and generate an image, right? So you're literally basically mining in a system that already have been trained on lots and lots of images to find combination of things that are inspiring and surprising. And if there's another artist out there using similar prompts, imagine me and you are using the same exact prompts, we are likely to generate something different. But why? We are generating something different basically because the system are just using a random number and in the background to generate your image and my image. So there is nothing that we did to really create this image differently. It's a system just creating random numbers. So where is art's identity here? That's really a big question, because if you are using the same generator, same AI generator that are already preloaded with all these trained images, where is the identity? Identity is in my prompts, but the prompt is not unique to me. Yeah, it can be unique to me, but somebody else can copy the prompt or make something very similar. It's not what I'm choosing. It's just a random number generator at the back end. That's a big question. However, it doesn't have to be this way. There are different ways of using AI that involve artists more heavily in the creation beyond prompts, not only prompts. For example, artists can train their own AI based on their own images, and this way they can really have their identity through the process, and what they're generating is totally theirs. So there are many ways that artists can have their identity shine into the medium and beyond the medium, and make whatever they're making is art.
And as I said a few moments ago, there's an increasing interest in the ethics, I suppose, of AI in art, notably around copyright and originality, etc. So I'm curious, what are the ethical considerations that Playform is actively addressing at the moment?
Yes. Actually, from day one, when we created Playform, we wanted to address this issue. The issue is if you want to use AI to create art, how that becomes your art. How can you make it such that you don't step into other people's copyrights? So from day one, we focused on training your own AI from scratch based on your own images. You can train the AI based on maybe a couple of dozen of images that you collected, or 100 images you collected. That can be your own work. Things inspire you, and this way you are not stepping into anybody else's copyright. That's very different from today's AI generators that are trained on billions of images scraped from the internet without user consent. That comes with lots of problems. Number one problem, obviously, is that you can generate something without knowing that actually takes from a copyrighted material. And number two is that whatever you're generating out of these big models that are trained on billion of images are not copyrightable. And we have seen cases in the court where the court rejected to copyright the generated AI material because it's basically a combination of what the system has been trained on. If you're training your system from scratch, you don't have this problem because you're training on your own images, and that's copyrightable, and the outcome of that is copyrightable. Number three is that these big systems obviously have legal issues now, and we have seen a couple of lawsuits now against some of the big companies in the field now, in the area now, where artists and writers are suing for copyright infringement because their data has been used without their consent in training these systems. We don't know where these court cases will go, but this will reshape the future of these models. In Playform, actually, we really thought about this problem from day one, 3-4 years ago, and we focused on providing artists with ways to train their own AI model, focusing on also on these artists' identity, these ethical issues from day one.
And I was also reading, I think it was something like 32% of those surveyed found some utility in AI, but they didn't always integrate it into their workflow. So I'm curious, what challenges are artists facing in incorporating AI tools seamlessly into their existing processes? Is there anything that you're seeing around this?
Sure. So in the survey before, we focused mainly on text prompting as a way to generate images and art. And as you mentioned, 32 found some utility of these tools, but they could not integrate it into their workflow. And the main reason is a lack of controllability. So right away now, if you try any of these prompt-based systems, it's very hard to control it to generate something that you want. I mean, if you come with something in mind and you want to render it using these systems, very hard. You write a prompt and you have to engineer this prompt and start inserting lots of keywords that sometimes not doesn't make any sense at all to push the system to create something that's interests you. And most of the time you end up with something maybe nice, but it's not what you wanted in the beginning. So it's more of a serendipity search to this engineering, prompt engineering. And if you look at these systems, you really don't understand much about the language, what you're saying in the prompts. These systems have been trained on images from the internet with their captions in the internet. And if you think about what are the captions of images in the internet, usually the caption in the image of the images are written in a way to complement what's in the image, not to describe what's in the image. So, for example, if you go to Flickr and look at the images in Flickr, you find captions like the photo was taken with certain camera, with certain lens, or certain aperture, and it's talking about the setting of the camera, right? That's what the caption is. And that's why, I mean, in current system, the prompt engineering is all about how to insert these keywords to generate something interesting. You find people writing in the prompt things like Nikon camera, certain lens, and things like that to generate an image. Basically, what you're doing here in this system is it's either like massive smart retrieval system that try to match whatever you're writing in the prompt to the caption it has trained and match that together to generate an image. So they are not really trying to understand your what you're writing in a very fundamental semantic way. It's basically retrieval systems, and that is limiting for artists. If you're an artist, artists come with a concept. A real artist come with a concept in mind, and they want the tool. You want to use whatever tool that help them achieve implementation of that concept. So if they can try this prompt-based system, they can get something out of it. But most of the time, what they're getting is not what matches their concept, and that's why it's not fitting in their workflow. Some other will start with a concept, try these tools, generate something nice, they divert from their concept, and end up with whatever AI is generating. But I don't call these a real artist. Real artists stick to whatever concept they're trying to make and use whatever tools to implement that.
Given that AI can create art pieces rapidly, I'm curious, how do you see this impacting the commercial aspects of art? Do you think it'll democratize access to art, lower the barrier to entry, help anyone and everyone unleash their creative side, or could it also potentially dilute the market, do you think?
Yeah, that's an excellent question and worth discussing in details. I don't agree that AI create art pieces.
Yeah.
AI create images. There's a big difference between creating an image and creating art.
Yeah.
That we have to settle this first. Creating an image can be a part of your creative process or the way you create art, but it might not. You might create images for different ways, for other reasons. You can create images to post them on the internet. You can create images to include them in your marketing campaign. You can create images to whatever reason, but that's not art making. That's basically expressing your creativity through creating images. So when we talk about value of art and commercial aspect of art, there are two kind of markets in art. There's the fine art markets, that's where you buy art from a gallery, for example, and that's the customer here are collectors, and collectors collect art made by people, right, by artists, and whether the artist is using AI or not, it's just a tool. So for that market, I don't see really a problem of AI diluting the market, because these collectors are not really uh, focused on the tools more than what the artists are doing, what are the concepts they are making. The other kind of art market is basically like the decor art market, like the kind of art that you can buy cheaply at the store to put in your home. And here you are looking more like a nice picture kind of thing. Yes, in that case, that AI can have a commercial impact, but that market is already diluted. I mean, these are art pieces you buy for a couple of uh, uh, like dozen of dollars, or at most hundreds of dollars, and these are really cheap kind of art, not fine art that you buy and hang on your wall maybe. And yes, I see AI here replacing that, using artists using AI or without using AI. But here we are not talking about fine art at all, or any high value art at all.
And I think for me, art has always been about expressing your creativity from your surroundings and any tool that you can have to hand. And I think for that reason alone, AI will enhance human creativity. It's never going to replace it. But even so, I think there's something like 36% of those surveyed, those artists there, they don't reveal the use of AI in their practice. So why do you think there's still a hesitancy in acknowledging AI's role? And do you think this perception will change as acceptance increases?
I mean, recently with the rise of prompt-based AI generators, there is a big backlash now against AI using in art making. So in the last few months, we have seen many groups like in Reddit and others, many artist group banning AI art and AI generators made art. So there's a big backlash about that, and the reason, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that all this system has been trained on billions of images from the internet, wiping out the rights of artists and without having the concept of artists. And that's nowadays actually even make it harder for an artist to declare that they are using AI in their process. In the past, if like go 2 years ago, before this wave of big language-based models for art generation, many artists actually were proud of using AI in their process, because that put them as a pioneer, as avant-garde, technology aware artists who use the latest technology in their art. The artists were not really afraid to say that in the past. They're proud of that. That's actually the point of difference, how to make themselves different from everybody else. But that has changed in the last year or so with this arrival of these big language models that create images based on prompts with the big backlash. So I think it will take some time to stabilize. People have to understand what is the role of AI in the process. People have to understand that AI is just going to be a tool in the artist toolkit. They can use it or they cannot use it, depending on whatever you're trying to do. At the end, art is about a concept you're trying to make, and you can use whatever tools you are making. And to be a transparent artist, you usually explain what is your medium, what is the medium you are using, what are the tools you have been using. Usually in the digital domain, when we create digital art, artists tend to not mention the tools, unlike photography, for example, where usually photographer mention what kind of camera and lens and what kind of settings he have used. In the digital art domain, artists don't tend to do that. And I guess this is changing now with the use of AI. But it's sometimes hard also because artists want to keep their secrets recipe. So if you are using certain tools, you wouldn't go and tell people about it because you don't want everybody to use it. And this is something we have seen in Playform, where people have been using Playform for 3-4 years now. And many artists who have been using Playform didn't say that you're using Playform because you want to keep it a secret. And it is the same thing with other tools. I mean, I usually use multiple tools that artists use one tool here, one tool there, and layer them on top of each other, depending on what you want.
And I think we should also highlight that AI is currently just one of the many, many tools that artists can use. So I'm curious, are there any other emerging technologies that you see integrating or converging with AI that will continue to push the boundaries of art creation further? Is there anything you're seeing here?
Sure. Even within AI itself, there are many, many tools now that are available. And what's happening now is I see that the field is moving beyond this prompt-based and focus more into training their own AI. I see a lot of stuff coming in 3D, ways to generate 3D objects, images of 3D objects that you can be manipulating them in a VR or AR, augmented reality kind of settings. There are some AI technology called NERF coming around that allow you to generate 3D from any single image. So you can give me an image of any object. I can create a whole bunch of 3D animation of that. There are a lot of interest now in creating videos digitally directly from prompting. And people are exploring amazing things in that domain, ways to integrate music and art, visual art and music in the process. So people are exploring lots and lots of possibilities, and that's amazing. I think there are lots of things under our disposal now, and technologies are moving very, very fast. And artists who are looking for novel ways to express themselves and be different are on the edge here. I'll try to really explore these possibilities.
And the big takeaway from your survey was, I think, the artistic value in AI, and the overwhelming majority saw AI-generated art as art, full stop, quite simply. And how do you define the artistic value of a piece, let's say, created by AI assistants as compared to a piece created by a human without any digital intervention? Is there a crossover here?
Definitely. Again, we have to clarify that AI doesn't make art. AI make images.
Yes.
And artists are the one who make art. And artists are free to use any tools they like. They can use brush and canvas and oil paint, or they can use watercolor. They can use digital Photoshop kind of tools. They can use AI assisted tools. At the end, the artist is the one who come and make the art with whatever tools. So the value here really comes out from what is the artist doing and what they want to do and what is the concept and what they want to communicate and what they want to make in art. And that all the other things, the medium, the tools, is a secondary in the process. It should not be the front thing. The art should not be about whether it's done by AI or not. The art is about what is the art is about, and what are you trying to say, what are you trying to communicate, what are you trying to express in your art.
100% with you, and it's all about experimenting and exploring with many different ways of using AI and other emerging technologies as part of that creative process. It's incredibly cool what you're doing here. And for anyone listening that might want to check out that survey or just have a look around Playform, what's the best starting point for everything? Where would you like to point everyone listening?
Just to go to playform.ai or playform.io, you can get to our web page and see what artists have been doing, and then you can log in and explore yourself and see what can you do with AI.
Well, I urge anybody listening to check it out. Also, check the survey out about AI being the new sketchbook. I think it's incredibly cool, and also cool to think or to learn more about what artists are thinking about this technology, and also how they're using it to push the boundaries of creativity and our definition of art itself. Incredibly cool. It's a huge pleasure for me, as always, to have you on the podcast. I love how the work you're doing here, how you're simplifying the content creation and just helping artists just push the boundaries of creativity. As I said, incredibly cool. Thank you for joining me once again here on Tech Talks Daily.
Thank you very much for inviting me again. It's always a pleasure.
I can't believe it's 3 years since we last spoke, but again, fascinating and insightful dialogue. And I enjoyed diving a little bit deeper into the interplay between human creativity and artificial intelligence, and shedding light on the nuances of identity, originality, and ethical considerations that artists grapple with in this brave new world. And I think it is nuances and context that are often sacrificed in this world when we're reading those clickbait headlines on our news feeds. And I think Ahmed made a compelling case for the role of AI as a collaborative tool rather than a replacement for human ingenuity. So from the artistic process to commercial implications, it's evident that the role of AI in art is as complex as it is promising. And while the technology opens up new vistas of creative possibility, I think it also poses challenges that do require thoughtful engagement, particularly in terms of copyright issues, creative control, etc. But that's why I record conversations like this. Clickbait headlines, knee-jerk reactions are no good to anybody. Binary thinking is not going to move us forward. So if you are keen to explore more about how AI can be incorporated into the artistic process, or if you're simply curious about what the cutting edge of artistic technology looks like today, make sure you visit Playform's website. And if you've got anything that you'd like to share with me, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. But that brings us to the end of another episode of Tech Talks Daily. And remember, I am committed to explicating the complex technological landscape that we all have to navigate every day. And if you've got anything you want me to talk about, please let me know. But until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, keep pushing the boundaries of what you thought was possible. And maybe join me again tomorrow for another topic. But that's it for today. So thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.